Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Ari. We have another episode for you in the Law of One series. This one is going to be extremely interested. Aliens visited Earth 11,000 years ago? Exclamation point, question mark, question mark. Did they? Did they not? I guess we'll find out, and we will find out what Ra has to say about this. So, in the Law of One, Book 1, Ra says, on page 70 to 71, we are aware that you find our incarnate, as you call it, state of interest. The teach/learning, which is our responsibility, is philosophical rather than historical. They're putting that as a little caveat before this quote, where the whole bombshell comes in. We are those of the Confederation who 11,000 of your years ago came to two of your planetary cultures, which were at that time closely in touch with the creation of the one creator. It was our naive belief that we could teach/learn by direct contact, and that the free will distortions of individual feeling or personality were in no danger. We had no thought of their being disturbed, as these cultures were already closely aligned with an all-embracing belief in the liveness or consciousness of all. We came and were welcomed by the peoples whom we wished to serve. We attempted to aid them in technical ways having to do with the healing of mind-body-spirit complex distortions through the use of crystal, appropriate to the distortion, placed within certain appropriate series of ratios of time, space, material. Thus were the pyramids created. There is so much to unravel in this quote. It is honestly breathtaking, honestly astounding. First, Ra talks about that they're of the Confederation, which we'll definitely get into more in future episodes. This really sounds like Star Wars, that there's like an international galactic federation of more intelligent beings that try to help less intelligent beings such as ourselves. I just think that's funny, and I've got to the point where I kind of believe this. I'm not egotistical and arrogant enough to think that we're the most intelligent life around, and life is really just stranger than science fiction. What's really true in life, no matter how hard it is to believe, is stranger than any science fiction story that any human has ever written. So according to Ra, they came with the Confederation to two of our planetary cultures who were quote-unquote closely in touch with the creation of the one creator. They already believed in these type of things, so they believed in like the gods, so this wasn't that big of a deal for them. And these cultures that they'll mention were allegedly Egypt and South America. And these societies, why they visited them, was that they already had an affinity with these Law of One teachings. They believed in the oneness, the liveness, the consciousness of all. They had this type of faith. And Ra was naive. They felt like coming was a mistake now after the fact, but they thought that people would use the information that they taught for good, but the opposite ended up happening, as you know, with humankind, that people use this information for evil, for power, for gain, for personal gain. And they didn't think that their visitation on Earth would affect people's free will, which it probably did. And again, it's very interesting to think about. I think that our cultures have kind of devolved spiritually, at least in Western culture, but we had these cultures allegedly 11,000 years ago that were already closely aligned with an all-embracing belief in the liveness or consciousness of all. And that's why Ra visited. That's why they thought that they would be able to take this message, the Law of One message, that all is one, one is all, the illumination of all, and use it for good. They thought, well, what could go wrong? Well, Ra thought that nothing could go wrong with visiting Earth, and they were wrong, which is pretty funny. It also shows this story, if it's true or not. Even a being of such intelligence and consciousness can be wrong, can make mistakes, and they have to learn from their mistakes. So allegedly, when Ra visited, they were accepted, welcomed by the people, embraced, and one of the things that they aimed to help people do was to heal through crystals. That's very interesting. This book, The Law of One, was one of the first places that I really started taking crystal healing seriously. I never really used to believe in any of that stuff, and it has to do with certain ratios of time/space material. That's another thing, time/space material. There's a distinction between that and space/time material, which I'll definitely get into future episodes, but that is a whole nother rabbit hole on its own. It's very confusing/interesting, and again, there's so much to unravel in this stuff. And at the end, they just drop a little bombshell at the end, and they said, thus were the pyramids created. So did Ra create the pyramids? Did they help humans create the pyramids? Did aliens create the pyramids? For what pyramids? For what purpose were the pyramids created? I mean, let me know your thoughts, your opinions, your theories. Do you believe this? Do you believe that aliens actually visited Earth 11,000 years ago? Did Ra really visit? Did they visit Egypt? Did they visit South America? I think it makes sense, at least to me. I believe that the pyramids were built by aliens, but not everybody else believes that. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions. Did aliens really visit Earth 11,000 years ago? Let me know.